After seeing Civil War, I thought, alright, I like this Tom Holland Spider-Man. Let's see what he can do. And after this Solar movie, I can say with confidence that not only is this the best Spider-Man movie that's been made, not only is Tom Holland the best Spider-Man, but this is the best Spider-Man movie you can make of a high school Peter Parker in the MCU. Very specific to why this can be the best movie. I think there's a better movie that can be made about an adult Peter Parker, but I personally prefer that. The adult Peter Parker, high school Peter Parker, so I'm a bit weird in that respect. And I think there's a better Spider-Man movie that can be made not focusing as much on the MCU. But having Spider-Man in the MCU makes the MCU better as a whole, so I can take what I could think is a not perfect, but a flawless Spider-Man movie in the MCU over a perfect Spider-Man not in the MCU. This movie starts off strong. It has double cold open, one focusing on the villain and Vulture, one focusing on Peter Parker during Civil War, and both these give you the two different kinds of tones of the movies. What's really, there's three different tones of movies in my perspective, and the cold open is focused on two of them. One, this last job aspect of the Vulture, where this could seriously, in another universe, be a crime movie about Vulture, where he's the main character and the person we're rooting for. Cause just because he's a bad guy doesn't mean that he has to be a bad guy. Yeah, I stole Wreck-It Ralph, but still, this legit could be a Vulture Solar film. And then it also gives us this kind of John Hughes, and when they're saying this for me, I'm like, is a John Hughes movie going to mix well with a superhero epic, the third tone? And it surprisingly does. I mean, this legit could have also been a John Hughes film with perfect set-by-set high school comedy type film, Breakfast Club-esque. And it's able to blend this well with the superhero action, and that superhero action is the most Spider-Man-like action in the movie. The one, again, I think this is flawless, so it's not a flaw. The one other thing that I think could have been used more in the movie, but wasn't and still worked well, is Iron Man. Iron Man, I think, is used great in this movie and connects well in this movie. But I could have used a bit more of him and made sense, but it also makes sense for the thing as a whole to not focus on him as much. But like I said, the way Iron Man is used great. And I think this does a great job at comedy, because that comedy is the John Hughes style high school dramedy. I guess those would be considered dramedies, but coming of age film comedy, which is the one thing about the MCU is that it does comedy well, but the MCU comedy is all kind of the same. I kind of felt this way with Guardians 1, which like Guardians 1 is a very different movie than the rest of the MCU, but the comedy feels very MCU-esque. The comedy feels very Spider-Man focused and Spider-Man-esque, and I think that's good and great for the film. I also think, like I said, Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man we've gotten, because it takes the best part of Andrew Garfield, the kind of smartness, nerdiness, and the quippiness of him as Spider-Man, and it mixes with that heart that Tobey Maguire had. And the heart of Tobey Maguire was the best part of those movies, as why overall I think the movies were better, but the Spider-Man aspects I think made Andrew Garfield a better Spider-Man. In fact, I even said in my Amazing Spider-Man 2 review forever ago that this was visually the best Spider-Man movie that we'd seen, because it was the most Spider-Man-esque. I think this now takes the throne. And this movie definitely has what I consider I'm going to say the best. I went over this in my head before. I think it might be the best villain in the MCU. I really like Jeff Bridges' character in Iron Man 1, and then Loki's kind of like an anti-hero, so I'm not sure if I count him as a villain. I think this is the best, most grounded villain. And the phase, I guess we're in 2 villains, or is this 3? Phase 3 villains have all been very well done. I think, spoilers for Guardians 2, Ego was a great villain. It's just, we didn't focus on him enough. I think Zemo was a good villain. It just didn't have enough influence overall. I think this finally has a villain that has influence on the story overall, and we're actually given time to focus on him, unlike Ego. So I think he might be the best villain in the MCU. Like I said, he could even have been the main character in another universe where Spider-Man's not as big of a deal. It's like he's just wanted to pull that one last job off to help his family. I think there's tons of Easter eggs for Spider-Man's films throughout. Less small stuff that I don't want to touch on without getting too spoilery. I think the way it ends is very well done for the movie, and it kind of sets up future villains in more way than one, and future things to play off of what Vulture did and his gang, and Vulture in the future himself. I really like that this was kind of a small scale story. I mean, really, it's just Spider-Man going up against a very big thief, a above average thief, I would say, and And it's good to see that after Civil War, with him fighting, the Avengers, it's still able to tell a small scale story. So it has me really humped for Spider-Man: Homecoming 2, or whatever the sequel will be called, Spider-Man: whatever it is, because it can go after Infinity War and go straight into a smaller scale story, and I think it will be done well. Overall, I love this movie. I've seen it twice already, and it got better with viewing it. And a lot of times when I see the movie a second time, I'm looking for smaller things to help, but I was just compelled to watch the movie, which I hadn't been compelled to just watch the movie completely in a second viewing since Force Awakens, which I also love, and I think this is a better movie than Force Awakens because it's new and different and the best high school Spider-Man movie that you could make, and definitely the best high school Spider-Man in the MCU movie you could make. I give this a 9.5 out of 10. I think it's great. It's in the top 3 of MCU movies for me. It's right above Guardians 1, which is number 4, and right below Iron Man 2, which is number 2, with Winter Soldier still number 1. Right, that's right where I'm placing it right now. Really enjoyed it. Really loved the cast. I think the female leads were both strong, and Zendaya and whatever the character's name was, Liz. I'm not sure of the actress, but great job. Very different and very fun, and it felt connected to the MCU, which is kind of what Guardians 2 was missing. It was very connected, but also very standalone. The most standalone we've gotten in a long time. Let me know what you thought about Spider-Man down below. I loved it. Hope you did too. Please like, share, and subscribe. As always, see you guys next time.